Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. As you can see, I finally had a haircut. That's 6 months of hair growth trimmed off, which is a great relief. Mum has also had her haircut as well. And my mother has also had her second dose of the Pfizer vaccine with no side effects, so that is fantastic. I'm due my second dose sometime during May, so I'm looking forward to my call up for that as well. And here in the UK, we're doing extremely well. You know, we are slowly opening things up. More restrictions were lifted during April, hence the haircuts. More restrictions have been lifted during May and then June as well. And there might be some possibility to go on international holidays for some people who want to do that. There are guides on the UK and US government websites, which I'll link to in the description of my blog post, where you can find out country by country advice if you're planning on going anywhere. Keep an eye on that regularly because it keeps changing. And obviously some places in the world are having a bit more difficulty than others. So if you are in a part of the world where COVID is still running rampant and you're having difficulties, then you have my best wishes, and I hope that things improve very, very soon. But here in the UK, yes, things are looking very good so far, touch wood. And another bit of good news this month in terms of milestones is that I've hit 1,000 followers on Twitter and 600 followers on YouTube. So again, big thanks to everyone who follows me across all my platforms. It's greatly appreciated. I'm always amazed at how many people follow my ramblings and enjoy them. So thank you very much as per usual. In terms of going out and about, the only thing I've been able to do at the moment is walks. But I've been doing a lot of that because the weather's been lovely lately. So I've been filling in more of the map around my local area, ticking off more streets I've never been down before. And other than that, I haven't been going into any shops or anything because there's no need to. I've been shopping online, but I will venture back into the shop soon to get a feel for what it's like and things like that. And museums and theatres are due to open soon as well, hopefully. So bit by bit, I'll get back into that kind of stuff. But I kind of like going out for walks, so I want to kind of do more of that as well. So as has been the case for the favourites posts over most of the past year, there's nothing to mention in terms of going out and about really, but there are a few bits and pieces from home I can mention. There's a few bits of disability related news I want to point your attention to, and then there's bits of drama, comedy and music as well I want to highlight. So it's going to be a relatively short bullet point style of favourites, but I hope you enjoy it, and there's more detail in my blog post as always. The links are in the description. None of this is sponsored or gifted in any way, and yeah, let's just crack on with it, and I hope you enjoy it. So starting with disability updates, and Companion Stair Lifts published an article on their website about looking after people who are shielding, because even though things are opening up, there are still people who are shielding because of their health or just because they don't feel comfortable going out yet. So it's important to ensure they're not forgotten and not left alone so they're not cared about. So this article is full of tips and advice about different ways of making sure they're looked after, and I contributed to it because they kindly approached me for my advice. So I contributed a bit about keeping in contact and communicating with them, because that really helps alleviate the loneliness to a fair degree. So do go and check that out. And then Vocalize have continued publishing their interval newsletter every week about accessible culture for the visually impaired online, like audio described shows and things like that. And I've mentioned that before, but it's worth a mention this time because issue number 52 contained a link to one of my old videos, which is a video from 2017 about my first experiences of audio description in London back in 2017, which feels like a long time ago now. And that was about museums and theatres and other bits and pieces. So do go and check that out. It's a good kind of overview of the kind of things audio description can help with. And then a friend of mine in Guernsey called Jamie has made a lovely video for MS Awareness Week because she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis a couple of years ago, and it's changed her life in so many ways, as you can imagine. It's had challenges and difficulties along the way, but she's had a lot of great support from her wonderful family, who I know that they are amazing, and also from the MS charity in Guernsey as well, of course. And if you can, perhaps do donate to an MS charity either in the UK, Guernsey or America or wherever, because they all do great work. But yeah, Jamie's video is full of positivity as well as realism, so do go and watch it. It's very informative, and well done to Jamie for doing that. I know it takes a lot of courage to share a story like that when you've been through something so personal and so difficult. And then moving on to fictional dramas, and there's just one thing to mention in that category this month, and that is the Blu-ray Steelbook edition of Doctor Who Series 8 that came out this month that I bought. I've had the ordinary Blu-ray edition already, but I've been upgrading all of my Doctor Who series to Steelbooks because the artwork looks nicer and they fit much better on the shelf together, take up much less space and that kind of thing. So I'm glad I've got that. All the episodes are the same, all the extras are the same. It's just getting everything in Steelbook format so everything's consistent, that's all. And then moving on to comedy, and as usual, there's the most things to mention in this category very quickly. So I've been watching my normal regular programmes, of course, so Taskmaster has been fantastic, and the new series of Have I Got News For You, the extended editions of that. Mock the Week is also back during May, which is good. ITV2 have resumed showing new episodes from season 19 of Family Guy, so I've been watching those. Online, I've been watching more episodes of the game show Who Said That, and on the radio, Mum and I have finished the new series of Just a Minute and are still going through compilations of Just a Minute on Audible, so that's keeping us busy as well. And then if you've been watching my channel over the past few months, you'll know that I've been rewatching every single episode of Noel's House Party on Andy Pearman's channel. And that was basically a classic entertainment show from the 90s that I loved as a kid, so it's been a great piece of nostalgia to watch it all again. And having done all that now, I'm now watching episodes of Noel Edmonds' Sasti Road show that Andy's now publishing. And that was basically the direct predecessor to Noel's House Party because various features were carried over from one series to the other. The Gunge Tank, it had Gotcha Oscars, it had Wait Till I Get You Home and stuff like that. So it's been great to see the early format of those features. And the other games and things worked quite nicely as well. Basically, in each episode, they pretended they were in a different place, like the Channel Tunnel or Spaced or a motorway lay-by or whatever, and themed their games and sketches around it, essentially. And there were some great guests on there as well, like Sylvester McCoy as Doctor Who, Baldrick from Blackadder, played by Tony Robinson, of course, Gordon Kay as Rene from Hello Hello, and various other big stars from the time, either playing characters from their TV shows or just playing themselves or playing other silly characters, whatever. And yeah, having never seen them before, it's just been great to watch them. They are good fun, not as good as Noel's House Party, but still very enjoyable. Andy can't get hold of every single episode. Even as late as the 80s, the BBC were wiping all their tapes of various things, but he's getting as many as he can. But even just seeing a few of the episodes is good. And then moving on from Noel Edmonds, and another person I've been focusing on this past month is Dave Gorman, because over on his YouTube channel called Gorm Hub, he's been uploading every single episode from all 5 series of Modern Life is Goodish, which was originally broadcast on the Dave channel. You can see them on UK TV Play as well, but there's obviously advertising there, whereas on YouTube any advertising is relatively minimal, thankfully. And it's a great series. Basically, it involves Dave using his PowerPoint slides to illustrate things that he's found in real life or online and pranks he's played, and he gathers together comments that people have made on various different news stories and combines them into what he calls found poems, which are very, very funny. And it's very clever how he brings all the strands and plot lines together in each episode. It's very clever how everything weaves together towards the end. So I highly encourage you to check that out if you've never seen it before. It's very, very funny and observational. And he did a sequel series as well, which is also on UK TV Play, called Terms and Conditions Apply, which is basically the same thing as Goodish, but with celebrity guests and comedians that he chats to, which basically means there's less material but kind of padded out more to kind of fill the time. So it's not quite as good as Goodish, really, but it's still interesting, it's still okay. But I'm also going to check out some of his older stuff as well. There's stuff like the Google Whack Adventure and Are You Dave Gorman, his astrology experiment online, and clips of other things and interviews he's done. And I'm going to check some of that out because I haven't seen like his older series for quite a long time, so it'd be good to see those again. And I know he's got like DVDs out, an old stand-up show you can get on his website, and there's other DVDs on Amazon you can get, and he's got stuff on Audible you can download, like his radio series and audio books and things. And, I'm well aware of everything that he's done, and maybe I will buy 1 or 2 of his DVDs at some point. But I'm just interested in watching his old stuff online, basically, because I haven't seen it in a long time, and he's just a very clever comedian. He's great. And then talking of clever people, I've also seen all the segments of the No Such Thing as a Fish 20-hour podcast that they did for Comic Relief. And basically, No Such Thing as a Fish is a podcast done by a team of QI researchers from the TV show, or the QI Elves as they're known affectionately. And basically each week they do a podcast where they discuss the facts they've discovered during that week. And basically, therefore, for this special podcast, which you can watch on YouTube because it's a video podcast, they did 35 different segments of 35 minutes each, where they had a different guest each time to celebrate 35 years of Comic Relief. And basically each segment starts with a fact which the guest introduces, and then they just discuss it from there and go off on tangents into other facts and all sorts of things like that. And there's guests like Michael Palin and Stephen Fry and Sandy Toksvig and Richard Curtis, one of the co-founders of Comic Relief, and various other people. It's good fun. Not every single guest is engaging, not every single fact is interesting, but it's all for charity, it's all for a good cause, and yeah, it's just very interesting to watch it all. And then over on another random channel that I'd never heard of before, so thanks to the YouTube algorithm as always for flagging up random things that I like, there's a podcast called What a Flanker by a guy called James Haskell, who's a rugby player. And most of the interviews he does on that podcast have no interest to me whatsoever. But lately he's done a couple with comedians that I really like. Jimmy Carr, his interview was particularly interesting. I love hearing Jimmy talk about the way he's got into comedy, and he's very clever in the way he thinks about how comedy works and things like that. And Jack Whitehall as well did an interesting interview. I'm not such a big fan of his necessarily, but it was still interesting to hear his interview as well. And then finally on the comedy front, Julie Nolke has added another video to her series of sketches where she explains the pandemic to her past self. And this is a 1 year on edition, this particular video. So if you've never seen that series before, go and check it out from the start, because it really kind of showcases just how much things have changed over the past year. And they're just really funny as well as striking a chord here and there as well. And then finally moving on to music, and again I'm going to talk about Queen to start with, as they're my favourite band and I'm doing a lot of stuff about them this year. So on my blog I've published the second part of my review of their album A Day at the Races, which was their sequel to A Night at the Opera, of course, looking at all the remaining tracks I hadn't covered before, so do go and check that out. And then talking of Queen, Brian May and Kerry Ellis performed a special version of Amazing Grace at an event called Song for Nature as part of the London Climate Change Festival. And this was broadcast on Sky Arts, and they, along with many of the acts in the show, were backed by the English National Opera's orchestra and chorus and sounded really nice. I didn't watch the entire show, I kind of skimmed through some of it, but there were people like Rob Brydon on there performing. He did a song called Lullaby, and Nathan Evans did his Wellerman song that he's become famous for, and there were some nice dancers on there as well. And then The Who have released a super deluxe box set edition of their album The Who Sell Out. I didn't buy the physical edition of this, but I did download the 5-disc edition from iTunes because it was good value, basically 30 quid for 5 discs worth of stuff. Can't argue with that. And there's loads of demos and outtakes and other bits and pieces on there, so that's well worth going through if you're a fan of The Who. And then finally, there's a couple of bits to mention from Madness as well, who are another favourite band of mine, of course. And they are doing a live stream of a performance from the London Palladium on the 14th of May called The Get Up, which is a show mixing comedy and music, which has been written with Charlie Higson from the Fast Show. So it's going to be great to see Madness perform on that and see who the special guests are and things like that. So that should be good fun. And then they also have a new 3-part documentary coming out now, which is exclusively available on AMC UK and BT Player. So if you're subscribed to BT and can get their channels and their catch-up service, you can see it all. If you're not subscribed to them, like me, then you can't, but you can see the first episode for free on BT's YouTube channel, which is something at least. So I'm going to watch that, and I'm sure the other episodes will come out at some point on a mainstream TV channel or on DVD or whatever. It's only a matter of time one day, but for now I'm happy just to watch the first episode. So yeah, I look forward to watching that. And yeah, that's it. That's all I have to mention for this month. I hope you found that interesting and enjoyable as per usual. Next month should be fairly quiet as well. I'm going to go out for more walks and maybe, if I can, pop up to central London at some stage after restrictions are lifted mid-month. It would be great to just go up and have a walk around there again, by the Thames or in central London or whatever. Especially once I've got my second dose of the vaccine. That is the most important thing next month. I don't mind if I have to wait till I go out, until June. I'd rather be fully protected. That is the most important thing. Other than that, it's probably going to be fairly quiet as per usual. So my next favourites video will probably be more of the same, with bits of comedy and music and things like that. So yeah, until next time, I hope you keep finding ways to keep yourself occupied and look after yourselves and each other. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe as per usual, and I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.